big dreams spark the fire within, building business brick by brick to win. Every setback, every climb, shape our hustle, strength and time, chasing growth and nothing less. This is the journey from scratch to success.
Hello everyone, welcome to From Scratch to Success, where we interview the most successful entrepreneurs about their journey. I'm your host, Jayma, and today we have the amazing Ben Albert, all the way from New York. Ben is the mastermind behind the marketing company Balbert Marketing. He is also the fearless founder of GrowGetters ONLY Collective, where high achievers gather together to help one another to achieve their goals and grow together. Ben is also the podcast host for Real Business Connections. With his expertise in business connection, community growing, and marketing, Ben helps growth-minded leaders to achieve their goals and take their business to the next level. I am so blessed to have you here with me today, Ben. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm blessed to be here. I know this is going to be fun, and anything I can do to add value to our listener today is exactly what I want to try to do.
That's wonderful. And so, Ben, you are actually in New York right now.
Yes, Rochester, New York.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what time is it over there?
It is 8 p.m.
Oh, wow. Isn't it funny?
And you're in the future.
That's right. So I'm from Sydney, obviously. It's 10 a.m. right here. Yeah. So let's begin. Tell me about the origin story. How did you get started and what was your inspiration?
So I was born out of my mother's womb. How far do we want to go back?
Whatever you feel comfortable, I guess when you started the business and all that stuff. Yeah.
So we'll go right before starting the business. Prior to the pandemic, I had just started a new role, transferred to a brand new company, was a sales executive at a corporate marketing firm. Mm-hmm. And by check all the boxes, I had made it. Suit and tie every day, looking good. If you look at pictures of Rochester, New York, the Chase Tower that I worked out of on the 14th floor is in pictures of my city. So I'm born and raised in Rochester. I'm downtown in the city, looking good, sales executive. And I was miserable. I wouldn't have told you that at the time, but I was stressed. I was not in a good place mentally. I was drinking too much. Didn't have great relationships. I was doing what I thought I should do. And again, Ben at that time would have said, look at me, I'm doing great, but I was struggling. And then the pandemic hit, which was something we all had to go through. And I pinch myself that it was so long ago that this first started. But I was last one in, first one out. They let me go, and I had to become an accidental entrepreneur because I was broke. I was broke. I was fired. I was applying for jobs. The first big move is I got on LinkedIn, updated my profile, and I started applying for jobs, hoping, maybe I could figure something out, and nothing had landed. And a friend and mentor of mine said, Ben, you are an online marketer. Why don't you try to do what you did, but just do it for yourself? Interesting. And I don't know why I hadn't thought about that, because I had a music podcast that I started in 2016.
Okay.
I had a local music blog. I was big into the entertainment and creative industry, but I never made any money on it. But business Ben had to become an entrepreneur. So I started a business podcast. I called it Rochester Business Connections. Now it's called Real Business Connections, but it was Rochester, New York Business Connections. And the reason I called it that is because I needed some. And I wanted to learn how to do business. I didn't know that 5 years down the road, I'd have an agency and a long running podcast and all these things in a community. I just wanted to learn. So one conversation at a time, one day at a time. I talked to business leaders. I launched my LLC. I started doing digital marketing for businesses. And before you know it, I replaced my sales executive income in about a
Wow.
year, and I'm off to the races. So COVID was a stressful time, but
Mhm.
luckily it was able to create a change that really helped me in my life.
Wow. Sounds like so inspiring because you will let go from your job, but instead of, being a Suki Lala, you really sort of, stepped up and started that business. I want to ask you, what are some of the early challenges that you had?
Yeah, and I make it sound pretty. It's easy to give you the summary, but I
Mhm.
was a crybaby. I was
Okay.
depressed. I was staring at the wall, watching
Mhm.
paint dry. I was
Mm,
drinking too much. The first like 6 months of the pandemic, as I mentioned, I launched in August. When the
mhm,
first pandemic hit, I was just a lost soul, not knowing what the
mhm,
next move was.
mhm,
And I already mentioned it, but it was learning one conversation at a time, because I started with a spreadsheet on QuickBooks, and I didn't even hardly know how to use QuickBooks. It was the most amateur way of doing accounting ever. And even at the time, I was dating an accountant, and she's like, "You're doing your books how?" And I'm like, "Well, I only have like a couple clients. I made like $6,000 in the past 3 months. Like, I'm not doing much." She's like, "Yeah, but you need to set up QuickBooks, because when you have business come in, you need a CRM, you need accounting, you need," and I'm like, I don't know how to do any of these things. So setting up, a CRM for customer relationships,
mhm.
setting up QuickBooks for my accounting. I understood online marketing,
Yeah.
but transparently, I was more in the sales end of things. So
Mhm,
I was more acquisition and selling the product and getting people onboarded. I
mhm,
didn't know the long journey of building the relationship and developing that relationship long term with them, and meet
mhm.
matching up in quarterly goals. And I had so much to learn. And I'm getting like jumbled thinking about it all, because still I have so much to learn.
Yeah.
Um, but what I learned was I could figure it out.
Mm,
You asked, like, I think you asked what challenge, or I mean, I had so many challenges,
yeah.
but part of the beauty in having a business podcast is I could ask business leaders what
Mhm.
they were doing well, and
Yeah.
how they built relationships, and what CRM they used, and how they do their taxes. I have a financial advisor and a tax
Mhm.
professional on. And whether you're starting a podcast like Ben did, or at something completely different, all the information we needed was online. It was
Mm,
just connecting with people, starting conversations. And if you're shy and you don't want to start a conversation, I call it YouTube University. You can go to YouTube and start Google YouTubing these things, or
mhm.
Google it, or listen to a podcast. But I'm still learning, but I
Yes.
had to learn something new every single day to figure it out.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. As human beings, we are constantly learning, and every single day we learn something new, right?
Yeah.
Um, Ben, what would you say was like a crucial turning point in your journey?
Yeah. So many. Wow. I don't even know where to start. I feel very humbled and lucky, because of the pandemic, I was receiving a stimulus check, and I was also receiving part-time unemployment. So I had enough income that I wasn't in deep scarcity where I had to run and get a job.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the biggest crucial points was the first month. It was 6 months in, was the first time I did $5,000 in a month, which isn't like $5,000 one time. It's not anything to super brag about, but it was when I realized that maybe possibly I could do this for the long run. And
Mm-hmm.
over time, I no longer needed the unemployment, and the
Mm-hmm.
stimulus stopped, and I
Mm-hmm.
replaced everything over time. So really hitting my first 5K was fantastic, but
Yeah.
also like hitting my first 20 episodes of the podcast, and my first 10 clients, and rebranding from Rochester Business Connections to Real Business Connections so I could reach a larger community of people, and launching GrowGetters Only. Like, I'm word vomiting, but there's been so many stepping stones along the way
Mm-mm.
that they've all been so important and powerful for me.
Mm. Wow. And what would you say is like your first sort of success? Was it the $5,000? Like, was it, yeah, like at what point you feel like, wow, this is what success feels like, and how did it make you feel?
Yeah, just launching the podcast was a success. It was humbling to see that business owners, entrepreneurs, people that had scaled businesses, sometimes they were small, but other times in the millions of dollars, tens of millions, big businesses
Mm-hmm.
were willing to sit down and have a conversation with me,
Mm-hmm.
because I was shy at the workplace. I never really raised my hand and spoke up. And I remember someone reached out to me and said, "What the heck did you just do?" And I'm like, I don't know. What do you mean?" And they're like, "I learned more about my CEO. I've been at the company for 20 years. I learned more from my CEO in 1 hour of listening to your podcast than 20 years at the company." And I'm like, wow. And that, none of that's to brag or impress. It's to impress upon the point. Like, I was having conversations with business leaders, and it's just amazing. And that's why I love that you are doing this podcast. And I wanted to have this conversation because, wow, like, the medium really helps us connect. Whether you're coming from the future, we can connect with
Mm-hmm.
anyone in the world. We can
That's
connect
right.
with CEOs, and luckily during the pandemic, they could show up on Zoom in their pajama pants. But being able to talk to these CEOs was great, and over time, people that I had been listening to their podcast or reading their book or watching their YouTube, a lot of them have been on the show. And I have to pinch
Mm-hmm.
myself because I'm like, what was once an idol is now a peer. And
Mm.
I even feel imposter syndrome calling them peers, but it's amazing what we can accomplish over time if we just put the work in.
Wow, that's amazing, and I feel like, yeah, after today, you will have to recommend a few of those connections that you have to definitely come on from scratch to success, because I feel
Sure.
like their story could, truly inspire others. I wanted to ask you, Ben, was there any lessons that you learned the hard way?
All of them. I'm a slow learner. Oh yeah, I mean, these are such good questions. I feel like it's been a constant. I've constantly made mistakes
Mm-hmm.
across the board. As I mentioned, I used to drink too much. I learned the hard way that part of why I had imposter syndrome, part of why I was afraid to talk to the CEO, part of why I was struggling with the relationships is because I had a bad mindset. I
Mm.
drank too much. I had bad habits. I had to learn the hard way once my health started to diminish at a young age that, oh, health's actually kind of important, isn't it? And like I mentioned with QuickBooks, like was terrible at my accounting. My books were a mess. I had to do taxes, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is not easy." and I
Mm.
and I didn't have much income yet to buy a tax professional, so I had to kind of learn how to do the taxes the hard
Mhm.
way. And
Yes.
another, I won't disclose all the details, but I came into a barter agreement with a company. They
Mhm.
did a ton of remodeling on the house, and
Mhm.
the agreement was, we're going to work for a year for this amount of money, and they're going to do all this remodeling. So they did all the remodeling up front and then tried to cancel on me after 2 months.
Oh.
And I wouldn't have even hired them if we hadn't have done the barter agreement. And then
Mm.
they said they were going to put a lien on the house and sue me. And I was like, what? And I had to get an attorney and squash that. I
Mhm.
didn't realize at the time that you really shouldn't work with jerks.
Yeah, wow. Sounds
So,
like,
yeah.
yeah, a lot of things are happening during that time with, your personal situation, but also the business. Sorry, was there something else that you wanted to add? I got excited when you were talking
No, you're
about jerks.
no, I think the ending with "Don't work with jerks" was fantastic. It's we don't know what we value some of the times until
Mhm.
someone breaks that value,
Of
and you're
course.
like, wow, if I'm going to be in business, I'm going to have clients and partners and relationships that we both love. I don't
Mm.
want to work with someone who's a jerk just because they pay me.
Yeah,
And
of course.
someone would collect that dough, and I ain't even mad at them.
Mm.
Collect that money, take that bag. I won't do it if I don't think you're ethical, if you're hard to work with. And you
Mm.
have to learn these things as an entrepreneur over time,
Yeah,
that or else people take advantage of you.
yeah, definitely. What strategies did you use to sort of help your business grow?
Yes, the two biggest ones were LinkedIn and the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, networking events. I actually should throw that in there, but I got on LinkedIn, optimized my profile.
Yeah.
That's where I reached out and found my podcast guests. We met
Mm-hmm.
on LinkedIn. It's a great
Mm-hmm.
place to post content, reply on comments, start a conversation. So I was building my network on LinkedIn. I
Yes.
was building my network with the podcast. That allowed me, I call it creation driven networking. We're doing it
Mm-hmm.
right now. It's
Yes.
networking and creating simultaneously.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so we
Mm.
get to learn from each other. In this case, I'm doing more of the talking, but we get to learn and network while we create content together. And
Mm.
the third thing was just traditional networking. I jumped on lots of calls when
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have many clients. Now I'm too busy and I feel like a bummer because I'm like, I want to jump on more calls. I got on a call with everyone I could because I wanted to get to know people. I wanted to make connections. And I even got to a point where I started, me and Andrew Biernat, a co founder of GrowGetters Only with me, started putting on our own networking events.
Wow, yes. Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, I preach if you want to be the center of gravity, if you want people to come to you, you got
Mm-hmm.
to create something. If you want a seat at the table, you bring the table. If you want to talk on the mic, you bring the mic. If you want
Mm-hmm.
to be platformed, you start the platform. So we started networking events where we co-hosted. So
Mm-hmm.
between LinkedIn, putting out content, meeting people, podcasts, one-to-one conversations, one-to-one networking, not on a podcast, and then putting together networking events. It was like four pieces of the pie that allowed me to build relationships and a personal brand while creating content all at once.
Wow, very insightful. And Ben, that's how you and I sort of connected as well through LinkedIn. This is such
Yeah.
a powerful tool. I just want to dive a little bit deeper. I want to ask you, what keeps you going and motivated?
Having really good conversations. It
Mm-hmm.
happened today. So uh, time zones are difficult. You and I talked through this. We started at 8 p.m. or 20, you
Mm-hmm.
know, 8 p.m. Eastern time in New
Yes.
York today.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had 3 podcasts for my show and a mastermind today. So I've been on five about hour long calls, and
Mm-hmm.
3 of them were podcast interviews. And by the third interview, someone would be like, Banner, you must be tired or burnt out, or you run out of questions, or it's 8 p.m. and now you're being interviewed. Are you going to be? No, I love this. I
Mm-hmm.
love learning. I love being educated more than even educating, but I love being educated and educating others. Conversations like this, because we never know whose needle we might move. And if
Mm-hmm.
you move a needle even just a little bit in a different direction, it completely changes the landscape of their life. And
Yeah.
I'm not here to guarantee aha moments or light bulbs or needle moves. You never know who needs what when. So when we can have great conversations and educate each other, I think that's one of the most important things in changing this world and making it a better place. Just having these dialogues, telling these stories. And yeah, again, like you would think it would tire me out. I'm super introverted, but having these conversations make it all worthwhile. Whether or not they're the number one revenue driver in my business, it's the number one thing I enjoy the most.
That's beautiful and it's very powerful because really I find it's, stories that really connects people together through those raw human emotions, and just through conversations. So I think we need to be, doesn't matter where you are, but to keep those conversations going. You were talking about burnout. I want to ask, how do you deal with sort of burnout, fear of rejection or criticism?
Yeah, I'm master avoider. I avoid stuff. So, I worked really, really, really hard for 4 years straight. And I had worked hard my whole life. I mean, going to school, then college with a job, full-time jobs. I never really took a break. And we don't have to go deep down this rabbit hole, but my mom had a mental disability, multiple sclerosis, and my dad had a very severe drug addiction. And I struggled a lot when I was a kid. Both of them, unfortunately, left this earth by the time I was 31. Like they died way too young. And most of my life kind of was struggle and trauma and like not that great some of the time when you look back on it. I never traveled. It wasn't we just didn't travel. So I worked my butt off for 4 something years straight. In the past year, I plateaued. If you were to look at my books, you'd be like, Ben, you're not growing at the same percentage. You were like, zoop, and then you plateaued a little bit. I've been traveling. I've been traveling. For the first time, I've built a business that isn't some huge empire, but it's strong enough and sustainable enough and consistent enough that I'm just kind of feeling braggy right now. But I waited my whole life. I went to Mexico and I went to Italy and Greece and Canada and all over the states, whether it's DC, Orlando, Las Vegas. And part of entrepreneurship and again, working really hard to get here is just building a life that I can actually travel and take a time off. And you ask, how do I avoid burnout? I just ran away from it. I said, I'm going to work less. I'm going to work less and I'm going to travel more. And if I don't grow as quickly as I originally projected, that's okay because I need this at this stage in this chapter of my life.
Well, thank you for sharing, sort of a part of your childhood and growing up. And I am sorry for the loss of both your parents. I think that when situation happens in life, it would either break you or it will sort of succeed for you to stand up and just keep going. Just in this short time, I feel like you're definitely someone that will just keep going, and now you're traveling, all of that stuff. Ben, what does success mean to you?
We kind of touched on it. It's not just having the travel bug all the time. It's feeling really fulfilled. And that's hard to define, but it's being fulfilled. In a perfect world, I have the most amount of impact with the least amount of energy spend and the most amount of fun and not have to worry about like a lot of the stressors. So it's hard to define success, but for me in business, it's being so efficient and effective that I make more money in less time. And it gives me the capacity to go out and I love what I do in business. So I don't only want to travel or only want to this, but I want the capacity to be able to do both. So for me, it's not a number. It's more a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And this is going a layer deeper, but like knock on wood, like I could get hit by a car in an hour. I don't think that's going to happen. I also could live to 110. That could happen, but maybe not. I want fulfillment and longevity the whole way. I want to be happy with what I do. I want to make good money, but I want to help people while I do it. And again, it's hard to define. I think it's personal for all of us.
Yeah.
But for me, success is fulfillment. And I'm on that journey to determine exactly what that looks like for me and figure out that blend of work and play and family and fun and figure out exactly what my combination is.
Beautiful. That's very truthful. And as you said, success means different things to different people. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that. Ben, the next round, it's going to be a quick, fast, engaging, short answer round. Are we ready?
Yeah, I'll try to be fast.
All right, let's go. The first question, a business book or podcast that changed your thinking?
The Miracle Morning.
Wonderful. Best advice you've ever received?
There is no key to success. It's a combination lock.
Love that. What's one thing you wish you've done differently?
I would have been nicer to myself.
Wow. If you lost everything, what would be your first move?
Everything,
Yeah, everything.
I would get a job. And then once I had some income, I'd start a podcast again.
That's it. The way to go. One myth about entrepreneurship you like to burst.
It's for everyone, and it's this beautiful thing that you're just hanging out in Bali or Dubai with a limo and pretty people. It's not always pretty, and it's not always fun, but it's worth it if you're committed and you're wired for it.
Okay. So what's next for you, Ben?
Yeah. WeAllGrowTogether.com. I'd love for people to check that out. I have the podcast, I have the marketing company, I have all these things. WeAllGrowTogether.com is the free community. So it's completely free to join. It's for grow getters, which is growth minded go getters, heart centered leaders looking to grow together. And I've just been yelling that off the rooftop because we all grow together. If you're heart centered and you want to grow, there's 200 people right now at the moment we're talking. I want it to be 200,000 people.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe that we do all grow together. So that's my big vision. That when I pass away, I want that to be on t-shirts. And I really want people to realize that they don't have to do it alone.
Oh, beautiful. So would you say that will be your future goal and dream?
I'd say so, yeah.
Wonderful. And lastly, I want to ask you, what advice would you give people that's just starting out with their business?
Just starting out with their
Correct.
business.
Yeah.
It depends on what business they're in. But let's go back to the we all grow together concept. You don't have to do it alone. A lot of people talk about grit and grind and resilience. All good traits. Not going to say that's bad. But when they say I picked myself up from my bootstraps, I'm like, well, who made the bootstraps? Who delivered the boots to your door? We don't do anything alone. So the number one piece of advice, and I know I'm going long on this rapid fire here, is find a mentor, find a friend, find a peer, mentee someone. Don't do it alone. Start having conversations with people that have already done what you're trying to do and learn how to get there the way they did.
Wonderful. And lastly, how does people connect with you, Ben?
Well, first and foremost, like this wherever you found it. Leave a comment if there's a comment there. Leave a review. Click 5 stars. Bonus points if you leave a review. Extra bonus points if you send either of us a DM. You can find my podcast wherever you found this or Google it. Real Business Connections is my show, Real Business Connections. Or go to weallgrowtogether.com to join the community. It's free, and you'll find some more stuff to learn more from there.
Great. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Ben, for joining me with this conversation, for coming on board to, share your journey. I really enjoyed, having you here.
Yeah, thanks for sharing the space. This is fun.
Thank you, everyone, for watching another episode of From Scratch to Success. I hope you feel inspired. I certainly am. Please share, like, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time. My name is Jayma, and I hope you have an amazing day. God bless you.